Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Eye to Eye Live. It's our Monday night hangout fest where we talk a lot of Disney park stuff, and we've gotten more and more news that comes out each week as the parks continue to open back up. More and more Disney things are coming back into our lives, so we're going to talk about that here. And tonight, I do not actually have my regular host with me, Connor Brown of WDW Opinion. Is actually getting busy right now, getting prepared for his Disney trip he's going to be taking down there, and we're going to talk to him when he comes back from that. However, I do have a good friend of mine who is very important in this YouTube Disney space that I wanted to bring on to give his perspective. His and his family, they moved down there to the Orlando area just about the time that all this happened, and wanted to do a lot of vlogging and live streaming and provide content for us on the YouTube space. But then Corona happened. But let me not waste any more time to introduce him. Is Walt from Mouse Talk. You may know Walt and Melissa, but thank you, Walt, for being with me tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm honored. Thanks for having me on. Anything I can do to help you out. My pleasure.
When I started doing these having guests on live stream Monday nights, I was like, I've got to find time to get Mouse Talk on here at some point, but they're always so busy. They're doing so many things these days. I was like, I feel like I'd get in the way, but I'm glad you're here.
Absolutely not. You're never in the way. Anytime you need help with anything or you need a guest, you let me know. We'll do our best to be here for you.
I do appreciate that. And so let's do this, Walt. I think as I told you pre-show, I like to keep these really informal. We'll say hi to folks as they pop in here. Our main topic that I wanted to talk about tonight, because last week Connor and I talked about Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom reopening, impressions of all that, things that we saw, we talked about all those things. And there's not I think a whole lot of new information except for some rule changes that have happened. But I think it would be interesting to hear your perspectives of it, but also your visual perspective of it, since you're down there seeing all that stuff. So why don't I just kick this thing off with just that question? What is your overall impression of the opening of Epcot and Hollywood Studios?
Sure. Well, we've been now to all four of the parks. We've seen them all since they've opened. We literally were at Epcot yesterday, and it's Saturday night. We were at Hollywood Studios. First time back for each of them. And they were very similar to what we saw at Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom when it comes to crowds. Crowds were very manageable. Hollywood Studios is probably the most crowded of all the parks that we saw. Now, we went late in the day, so it wasn't terrible. But it's definitely the hardest park to get into right now. Epcot, on the other hand, it was barren. It really was. It was not a lot of people there at all.
Do you think that is because of the space of the two respective parks, or do you think that's because of the interest of being there, or a combination of the two? What do you think what do you think plays into that?
I think it's probably the space. Epcot's a lot bigger than Hollywood Studios, but it's also popularity right now. Hollywood Studios is the go-to park, whether it's Rise of the Resistance, Smuggler's Run, Slinky Dog Dash, Runaway Railway. There are so many new rides that are out at Hollywood Studios. It's the park everybody wants to go to right now. So I think it's kind of twofold with that. It's the size, but it's also the popularity.
Yeah, I think both of those will definitely play into that. It is not a park that sets up well for spreading out people at all. When you look at that map, it's confusing at times, even as small as it is. It's like, okay, if I go this way, this is the easiest route. But no, not really, because they only allow you out this way. Even without coronavirus stuff. You remember, I was there at least when they would only let you out the backside of Galaxy's Edge. I don't know if that's the case now still, but
it's not. You can in or out either way.
Yeah, see that when I was there, we could only go through a certain way because there was so much traffic there. And I think it's funny that you say that it was so crowded at Hollywood Studios, because I saw a lot of pictures of empty Galaxy's Edge. Did you not experience that?
Well, crowded compared to the other three parks.
True.
There were more people there. No, there was still plenty of space. Don't get me wrong. But ultimately, you could feel a little bit more. You could tell there were more people there at Hollywood Studios than there are at other. I literally was at Magic Kingdom today, and everything was a walk-on. Everything was there was nobody there today. But at Hollywood Studios, there when we were there, even going late, we didn't go till 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and the park was only open till 8. There were some rides that were still 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So It was just more crowded than the other parks. I'll put it to you that way, but not compared to what we would normally see in a park.
No, in normal life, things would be definitely even more crowded than they would be. Let's say hello to a couple of folks that have already popped in. Captain Akron 27, Alex Brunner, Pamela, thank y'all so much for being here. As you do come in, please do make sure you smash the like button. It looks like we've already got a great crowd assembling. And I want to hear from y'all in the chat what your impressions of everything, whether you've been there or not. What are you thinking about the opening overall of Walt Disney World, but especially Epcot and Hollywood Studios? So, Walt, I'm jealous because you've already had a chance to go not on just Mickey's Runaway Railway, but the second of the Galaxy's Edge attractions. I have Rise of Resistance. I have not done either of those. Literally, Rise of Resistance was opening the week after we left on our last trip. And I pleaded, I begged so much with the cast members. Every day I walked over, I said, what's the chance a little Disney magic can happen for me and I can go on this attraction? Because these people with me won't be back for 2 or 3 years. I won't be back till next year. What's the odds? And they're like, I'm sorry. So tell me what that ride's like. I need to know.
Well, I've done it 4 times. I think it's four or 5 times at this point. It's the best ride in history.
Really?
In history. It doesn't matter. You pick the park, it beats them all. It's better than Flight of Passage. It's better than the Harry Potter rides. It encompasses every aspect of any ride. It's trackless. It's this, that, the other. It has everything. You don't really feel like you're on a ride. You feel like you're in the movie.
Wow. See,
I always say this. When people get off a Flight of Passage, every once in a while, they'll have a tear in their eye or they'll clap. Or they'll clap. When you get off of Rise of the Resistance, you're like, your mouth is on the floor and you're like, what just happened? It's just that it's pretty awesome. It's unbelievable.
And see, I was having those reactions when I got off Flight of Passage for the first time. And I went on my last trip with some I won't call them cynical, but just, they don't get into the magic as much as you or I might do, but they got off Flight of Passage and were like, that thing is incredible. When are we doing this again? And little did they know, I secretly made them another fast pass for Flight of Passage later that day, and they were so happy at the end of the day when I got that done for them, because like they had no clue. I said they're going to go their whole day and think they're never going to be able to do it again because of the line. I mean, at that time it was still 3 hours long,
right?
But they got to do it, and that's incredible.
That is awesome. Yeah, it's you know what, Kyle? What would have made it the perfect ride for me is if it incorporated the old characters. Because I'm an original Star Wars guy. I like Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, and those guys. It incorporates Disney's characters, Kylo Ren and Rey and all them. If it had included the old characters in this,
right,
dude, I may have had a coronary. It's just that good. It really is.
I'm really excited to experience it for the first time. Now, we were originally going to be going in August. We have since moved that back. There's some members of my party that do not want to wear masks in the heat. And we're all assuming that this is still going to be going on for a while anyway. So if they're going to have to wear masks, they'd rather wear it when if there is such a thing as less heat in Orlando, Florida, it's probably less likely in December, January, to February.
That's true.
It is. And I've actually gone on camping trips down to Fort Wilderness by myself and had extremely nice weather. So I hope that it's going to not be too overwhelming for us. And maybe we'll talk about that in just a second. But interesting that you brought up the Rise of the Resistance ride. How's the virtual queue with coronavirus stuff? How has that changed, or has it at all?
Well, I guess I haven't experienced it now with Corona yet because, like I said, Saturday night was our first time back at Hollywood Studios, and we couldn't get on. Okay. But supposedly it's not. They have 3 different times, like the morning and then the afternoon and then the evening, like 8, 12, and 4, of which when you can get virtual queues at that point. But it's still the same, though. They go very, very quickly. Yeah. So I'm surprised because originally they said they weren't going to do virtual queues. They said they were going to just let it be standby like everything else. And obviously they changed their mind on that. So
it's an interesting change of pace because I guess I'm trying to see it from both angles. Maybe you would want to do a virtual queue so less people are actually standing around near each other. But then maybe if you do have standby and have them equally spaced out enough, maybe that's controlling the flow of people. I could see it from both angles. So I would be interested to be a fly on that wall in the decision room and say, what went into this? Like, what's the rationale behind it? Because Disney, they obviously have taken their time to figure this thing out and are doing it the right way, it seems. I think I even saw a report before we got on here that no viruses have been linked back to any of the parks in Orlando, which is a good thing. And, I don't know how that would be possible with the amount of people that are probably flooding down there right now, but we're going to hope that that's the case. But social distancing, all that stuff that's going on in these parks right now, what's your impressions?
I think they're all doing a really good job. We've been to Universal many times because they opened up a month before Disney, and we have passes there too. Good to see you, Avery. Welcome in, buddy. They're doing a really good job. I think Disney's doing it a step better. I think that's part of the advantage that Disney had over Universal in that respect. They saw what Universal did and kind of took it a step further. In a lot of ways, I think Universal does a really good job at what they do. Disney's just doing it a little bit better.
Right. Yeah. They tend to do that. I think, as I refer to them as the place across the street. My brothers, by the way, just a little quick aside, my brothers are huge Harry Potter fans, and so is my wife's family. So whenever we're with them, we go to that other place. I am not a Harry Potter fan, just because I don't know what it is about me, except for Disney stuff. I never got into fads or popular things growing up, and it was just not one of those things that connects with me. So I always love to take a little jab at that place for the sake of my brothers, especially.
I tell you, I have to give. Look, I love Disney a ton, and I'll always pick Disney over Universal. But there are things that Universal does that really rivals Disney, and in some ways beat them. Yeah. Their queues for a lot of their rides, their queues are just as good, and some of them are even better than some of Disney's. Right. And their merchandising, I've got to give. They really get the edge, in my opinion. And I love Disney's merchandise, but Universal's merchandise is really. They do a really good job. I got to give them credit. Now, their rides, they have a lot of simulator rides. I'll just put it to you that way. Every other ride's a simulator ride with them.
Here's the thing, though, is as much as I like to kind of downplay the place across the street or give it a little bit of crap from time to time, without each other, things wouldn't be as good as Disney without the other pushing, and vice versa. So like you said, if it's merchandising that is pushing Disney to be better in that area, we're only going to benefit as Disney fans. And same thing over here. If the rides are better at Disney, and at least in terms of more diversity or variety of rides, maybe that'll make Universal do some of the same as well. So
I agree. They make each other better for sure.
They absolutely do. Let's see. Alex says, I like what I'm seeing from how Disney's handling everything from fellow YouTubers I watch. I haven't heard too many negative feedback. Is there anything that you think thus far that you've seen, Walt, that they could be doing a little bit better or anything coming out?
No, I really can't. I can't really say that. I think that they've done really good in every aspect. A lot of the queues, when you have the switchback, when you go down, but then you got to come right back, they put up the fiberglass walls that are really good, so you don't have that uncomfortable feeling that even though the person in front of you is 6 feet away, there's somebody standing right next to you. Right. You don't have to worry about that. They've done it on a couple of the rides as well. They did it on it's on Living with the Land. They put like these barriers up there, plastic barriers. They did it on Kilimanjaro safaris as well. I think they've done a really good job, and they've really enforced it. I've literally heard people go up to people and say, I'm sorry, sir, but could you please put that over your nose? Yeah. Or, hey, little guy, I need you to put your mask on, please. Because the little one wouldn't have their mask on. And you have to do what it's private property. Private property,
yeah. 100%. I'm look, that's my biggest thing in this whole argument is if you're on private property, it's their rules. I mean, that's just how it goes.
Is. Look, I don't want to wear the mask. It is an obstacle. Let me tell you, it's hard. I've been at these parks in 99 degrees these last few days down there. It's not easy, but I want to be in the parks, and I'm going to follow the rules.
There you go. I mean, you have to do what you have to do to get there. Here's something that I want to know from you, and please tell me this is happening. especially when we're talking about the topic of Hollywood Studios and Epcot, more so Hollywood Studios, please tell me the stormtroopers are walking around enforcing the rules. Is that happening?
It's not. No.
Oh, no, Walt. How are they missing this?
What they are doing, I mean, they're still out in Galaxy's Edge, but they're socially distanced away. Like, they're up high.
Even with their visors, like I know they probably got, ventilators or
no, they're not.
Man,
they're not doing that. Chewie too. Chewie's kind of off in the distance. Kylo Ren and them are up by his ship.
Right.
So you can't really get close to him. No, they're not walking around.
Oh, I thought for sure they were going to find a way to make that work and use them. We saw at Disney Springs when that started opening up, they unfurled the banner and we're up high up there. I was like, oh, that's how Disney's getting around this, is they're going to use the stormtroopers to enforce it in the parks. I was like, that is brilliant, Disney. And who is going to say no to a stormtrooper?
That's true. Yeah, we saw. I mean, they're out and about, but they're not out and about. If you know what I mean, they're not walking around. But even the stormtroopers at Disney Springs, we've seen them. If you notice, they're up high. They're not walking around amongst us on the ground. Yeah.
Well, that's a good topic that you brought up there, especially for these two parks we've been mentioning a lot. We saw in Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, how they were utilizing characters in different ways. And some of that now is translating over to Hollywood Studios and Epcot. You talked about Hollywood Studios, Star Wars characters were up high away. I know if I was seeing things right at Epcot, it seemed like they had, especially like Winnie the Pooh, way off in those little fields that they usually have covered with topiaries and flowers away from everybody. Is that what was happening a lot at Epcot?
They're doing that. They are also having small little cavalcades where like Goofy and Pluto will be walking in front and Mickey and Minnie will be in a car, and they go around the entire World Showcase.
Wow.
One lap around the entire World Showcase, at least from what I saw. We kind of followed them almost the entire way, and they went the whole way. And then Anna and Elsa, same thing. Elsa walks, and Anna, who's now the queen, I guess, she rides in the carriage. And that's how they're doing it at Epcot. As for Hollywood Studios, I have to admit, I did not. Yes, I did. What am I saying? They did the Pixar. Remember the old Pixar Pals Parade?
Yep.
Kind of along those lines. A few of the Pixar characters come out, and they're coming out. Some of them are in the car, being driven. And the Corvettes they're Camaros. They're really nice Camaros, dude. They're really nice.
That's cars. Hey, don't lie, Walt. That's what you're there for. You don't care about the characters. You care about the cars.
I tell you what, Camaro. I like the Camaro. Melissa likes the Mustang. I like the Camaro. Those cars are sweet, and they're decorated to the characters. Yeah. They're doing a good job. Disney's really smart about their cavalcades. I love the cavalcades.
Yeah.
I hope they stay.
We really can't do it on a normal capacity day because it's too crowded.
I wish they would. I wish they could do it because there's no set time. It just happens when it happens. It's sporadic, but it's not sporadic, if you know what I mean. They come. They're out a lot. They really are.
Yeah. I mean, if you pay attention enough, you can figure out what the order or what the timing of everything is, especially for those of you that are down there a lot. So it's easy for y'all to pick up on that. Avery took the words right out of my mouth. Says, reminds me of the defunct Stars and Motor Cars Parade.
It does.
Here's what I think happened at one Disney meeting. They literally said, all right, we've got to get creative, guys. What warehouse has some things that we have not used in forever, and how can we utilize them now? That's what I feel like is happening, like at Hollywood Studios, especially, where these cars that we use sometimes, but how can we use them better? And I think that's what I love about Disney is like no old idea, unused idea goes and gets tossed away. They just get reworked into the Disney magic. And I think that's what you're seeing with those things a lot.
I think so. And they're all really done well. All the cavalcades are fantastic. Over at Animal Kingdom, they're using boats. Mm-hmm. They're in the boats going by, and that was fun. We really enjoyed that. They've done a nice job. They really have. I've got to give them credit. I was, kind of disappointed when they came out and they said they weren't opening until July 11th. I'm like, yeah, man, that's a month. That's more than a month away.
Right.
At that time. And now we see why. I think we're starting to see what they've had to do to get prepared.
Yeah. And I think we were frustrated, to be honest with you, when we saw that it was going to take so much time. But now you're seeing the fruits of that labor and why they took the time they did. They were in a better position probably than some other theme parks to take a little extra time financially. And thus, I think it's paying off. And like, we don't know of anything bad that's happened at Universal or anything like that. But, I just think Disney tends to do things a little bit differently. And I think you see, once again, even though it frustrates us, they started a little later, it comes out looking pretty good at the end of things. And that's not to say things won't need to change or something might not work so well as time goes on. One of those things is the new rule. We found some people that figured, some entrepreneurs in the line of thinking, not entrepreneurs is not a good word, but just free thinkers that found a way to get around the mask rule if they were walking while they were eating and water and stuff like that. That I got to hand it to them. That was a smart loophole for them, but I think Disney found a way to close up that loophole. Did you see any of that going on?
Well, yeah. I mean, but ultimately I guess if there's one thing I'll have to say, this is the one where I think Disney's taken it a little too far.
Okay.
I didn't see anybody that I would say was just holding it and walking for 500 to 600 feet and not taking a drink.
Yeah.
I would see somebody take a drink, hold it, walk a few steps, take another drink, hold it, put the mask on. I wasn't seeing people walking around and not drinking or eating. Yeah. So to me, I felt like that one was a little bit, where it's like, relax for a second, relax. Cause I would do it. I had a bottle of water and I'm walking. I took my mask off. I'm taking a drink. And then I knew I was going to take another drink in 3 seconds. So I didn't put my mask back on. I took another drink and then I put my mask on. Yeah. I don't know that I saw anybody that I would have to say was just not wearing the mask, but even though they were holding something. So that one was kind of iffy for me.
Yeah, it did have feelings of a little too quick to do some of that, even after what the parks have been open a little over a week now, or at least some of them have. I did get feelings of, okay, obviously they felt their need to do that, but we're kind of, it feels like they probably caught a select group of people or just certain people doing it every once in a while and abusing it. And now it kind of feels like that.
Yeah, they probably wanted to just nip it in the butt right away. Just get it out of the way now, but that being said, if you can still take a drink as you're walking, but you got to put the mask right back on.
I think it's that
drink mask. Okay.
Literally the entire time. So you're getting a workout while you're out there.
Yeah. I don't know. I have yet to really look, I've been very open about how I feel about this whole thing. Yeah. And I have my times where I feel uncomfortable too, but for the most part in the parks, I've never felt yet really uncomfortable. I mean, we've literally had somebody that came right up on top of us in line, and I'm like, back up. And I hated, that's the side of what a lot of people don't see, but when it has to come out, it'll come out. Yeah. But for the most part, it's not been.
It's not even the coronavirus things. Like there's a personal bubble, man. And
that's true too.
Like I am all about handshakes and hugs and stuff like that, even during this, if it's safe to do it. But like, it's just, personal bubble, I need to, you need to come approach me and like, I need to know you a little bit before all that kind of stuff happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Alex says, I like that you're allowed to take off your mask when you're eating at restaurants. I assume maybe he's talking about when you're just sitting there and things like that. It's always been a little perplexing that you have to wear it coming in. And once you sit down, you're allowed to take it off. It's like, why do you wear it in if it's like, I don't get it.
But see, this is why no system is perfect, because what's the difference between me sitting in a restaurant in an enclosed space with my mask off the entire time and me walking 500 feet, holding a drink, taking it outside.
Yeah.
You're telling me that's better? Where there's a little bit of I have a problem here. There's some inconsistencies. And that's what really I have the problem with this, because what if I'm sitting there, I'm eating at the restaurant, and I cough or sneeze with my mask off? So no system is perfect, but that's my problem with some of this. It's very it's a double standard. I don't know if double standards or
I get what you mean.
You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of weird. It's bad here, but it's not bad there.
I always try to like approach these type of things, whether it's Disney stuff or not. You know, we're trying to see. I obviously come from a certain place on any topic where I have a kind of a lean one way or the other on a certain side or something, and I always try to look at the other side and understand where it's coming from, even if I don't agree with it still. And so I guess I kind of see it from Disney's side that they're really just trying to cover their bases and then hopefully lean or not get more strict, but as things kind of
loosen up. Yeah.
You know, loosen up as time goes along. But I will say this, you know, for other than wearing a mask in the heat, I am actually pleasantly surprised by what I've seen out of Disney and their reopening. And I don't know why I continue to be shocked by it, but here I am, shocked again, because they do it every time. They pass the test with flying colors. And yeah, so that's where we're at on all that. Anything else from Epcot, Hollywood Studios, or park openings that you'd like to share?
It's just been great. It's really nice to be able to get into these parks and not have to rush to a ride after ride after ride and go, oh my God, we got to get the mine train before it becomes 90 minutes. Or holy macaroni, let's get to Space Mountain or Everest or whatever. It's nice to walk up to Peter Pan's flight and see 15 minutes instead of 55 minutes. Or it's nice to walk up to Pirates and see 5 minutes. You know, that's been the best part of this so far. And what's funny is for us locals, I can call myself that now, we're going to get spoiled by it. Because the day will come when the parks will be chaotic again. Yeah. And that's going to be a bummer.
Yeah, and like that's for you. That's a great time to experience all this right now. But I'll be honest with you, Walt. I actually enjoy the crowds. I don't know what it is. Like I get
energy.
It's the energy. It's the buzz. It's the atmosphere. Like to me, when people go back and ask me like, why do you go to Disney? They're like, oh, you must love that, right? Well, yeah, I do. But I'll tell you, it's one of the best moments I've ever had at Disney was sitting. I don't know if they have them anymore, but there used to be some chairs out in Frontierland, right where you go up underneath and can cross over to Adventureland, where conveniently enough for me, you can get the Dole Whip, which I love. Right. We got a Dole Whip and sat on the little porch out there in Frontierland and just watched people go by on a really warm Florida afternoon. But it was just, we sat there for like an hour and it was just awesome. We're like, oh, we got to go do stuff. But we were just having so much great time. It's the buzz. It's just watching people laughing, cutting up, have a good time. Characters go by. Like for me, yeah, it's about the rides. It's about the food, especially. But it's really become more and more about the experience. Now, that's what I love about being there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The energy. It's definitely a different energy. What I've noticed is it's very laid back right now. It's a lot more slow pace. And I take that as a good thing because, when you're down there and it's really busy, people will push by you. People will run you over with their
strollers.
You're not seeing that at all.
Right.
Everybody is slowing down, which is kind of neat. And I'm with you. I enjoy the crowds too. I don't enjoy the immense crowds.
Yes.
Yes. I like the crowd. Like when you're there and you're waiting for Happily Ever After and you can feel the energy as we're getting closer and closer. Those types of things are all fantastic. I love it.
Right.
But it's something to be said for the laid back approach of the parks. Yeah. It's been really nice.
I'm hoping when I go down there in December, barring that we need to move it again for some reason, that we're still getting to experience some of that you're getting to experience now. So, each day that goes by, I'm kind of sad that we're not going in a month, so I can experience these type of crowd levels. But hey, who's to say things won't be even better by then? They'll be doing a few other things. I'm an optimist. I'm an eternal optimist to a fault, and that's the way I just choose to think about this type of stuff. But hey, well, I want to give you an opportunity to share with the viewers here what you might be got coming up this week on your channel, since you were so gracious to join me.
Oh, well, thank you first off for having me on. It's always my pleasure, and I'm honored to be here. Of course, we have our show on Tuesday nights, Tuesday at 8. It's called Disanity, and this week it's a variety show. It's something different every week.
Right.
This week is Pop Culture Week, so Melissa and I are going to do our top 10 romantic comedies.
Oh, let me see if I can guess what Walt. Oh, I'm not going to. You don't need to spoil it, but I'm trying to think what yours might be. I'm gonna have to think on that one. Would I be surprised by it?
Probably. You probably would. Yeah. I think you probably would be surprised by it. But I actually like romantic comedies. I think they're fun. Being a married man, they don't bother me. I think they're fun.
I enjoy a good rom-com, especially like critique it and be like, oh, come on. We're watching Footloose right now, and I know it's not a rom-com, but like I literally sat there with Jessica on the couch like 5 minutes ago, not 5 minutes ago, but before we got on, and was just like, what is this? Like, I don't get Footloose. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah. The original or the new one?
The original is Kevin Bacon one. Is that the
John
original?
Lithgow, Kevin Bacon. Yep.
Yeah. That's the first time I'm actually watching Footloose, so don't be ashamed.
Serious?
Yes, I know. Gosh. Look, I'm sorry.
Man, you got to cut loose. Footloose.
Oh, no. Let it go. Let it go, sir.
But so we do Tuesday nights to Sanity. Saturdays is sports night with Steve and I here. A little bit of a change of pace from Disney stuff. We talk sports. And then Dan and I, Disney Dan, actually do a Sunday Disney movie review where we pull one movie out. All the Disney Plus movies are in a box, and we pull one out, and we have to review it. We have to watch it and review it. So
very nice.
That's been fun. And vlogs and live streams from the parks that we've been doing. So we're very busy, and it's been awesome. And we just appreciate everybody's support.
Well, if you haven't, please do check out Mouse Talk. They are a great channel that you need to be following in this Disney community. Pamela, I will answer your question real quick. You will get to know what trivia night is before anyone else because you're a patron. So you will know that Thursday afternoon, evening. But what is? Oh, I know. I remember what I selected this week. I think you're going to love it. It's going to be a good topic or a good theme for this week. So if you want to know that, you can go check out the Patreon. But otherwise, we'll announce it on Thursday afternoon, and Wednesday is when the patrons will know it. But anyway, Walt, thank you so much for being here, my friend. It is a pleasure to hang out with you, and thanks for giving us your perspectives from Hollywood Studios and Epcot.
My pleasure. Thank you, and thank you to everybody in the chat for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Until we assemble again, may the force be with you, and we'll see you real soon.
Bye, everybody.